Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Searles, and this is my Week 4 discussion post for MPA 594. The private sector agency I chose for this week's assignment is Intermex, which is a for-hire bus transportation agency. Its mission is to provide quality transportation in a reliable, safe, and the most, economical way for their passengers. My selection for the public sector agency is the Riverside Transit Agency. Their agency is committed to providing safe, reliable, courteous, accessible, as well as user-friendly service for its passengers. Graham Allison questions whether both government and private agencies are all alike in terms of unimportant aspects. This argument stems from Wallace Sayers' paper, where management of both private and public sectors appeared to share some contrasting themes that separate the two. He described things such as the use of public authority, difficulties in performance measurement, as well as political organization constraints. However, today in my post, I'm going to argue that public and private sector agencies share similar underlying principles in the way that they operate. In terms of, looking to answer the question of whether the two are alike in all unimportant aspects. And I'm planning to use the following three themes that will help explain this analogy. Systems approach, bureaucracy, as well as goal setting, where I will talk about equity versus efficiency. Systems approach theory views organizations as dynamic entities that change as they interact with the environment. Whether private or public, an organization is not isolated, rather interconnected subsystems. Thinking through that lens, systems approach further defeats Taylor's model of having one best way to achieve organizational objectives. Instead, organizations change based on different interactions with the inputs and underlying processes, some of which include policy changes, fluctuation of, perhaps market demands and forces. A good example of this would be fuel prices as well as, competitive strategies. Systems theory also highlights Weber's idea on interaction between administration and politics. It becomes difficult to separate the two, especially in top-tier executive decisions and management of organizational interest. Additionally, both private and public sectors conform to Barnard's cooperative systems, which views organizations as open-minded dynamic systems of cooperative effort meant to achieve effectiveness and efficiency. Barnard also argued that for employees to work well together, they need to fit together. This requires compatibility of personnel, which speaks on the aspect of staffing principles that is similar for both the public and private sector. The second theme is bureaucracy, where both agencies, Intermex as well as Riverside Transit, employ a system of high specialization roles and functions, rules and regulations, as well as defined structure of communication. Here again, we see the interaction between administration and politics and bureaucracy, especially when selecting top-level executives in both agencies. Executives who will likely balance the interest of top-tier stakeholders and that of the organization. This idea conforms with Hermer-Simon's theory that individuals often do not make decisions considering only their own interest or the individual's utility maximization. Instead, they must negotiate, they must exert power over or otherwise navigate the interest of others and the rules of the institution setting, within which they operate. Bureaucracy in both agencies also align with Follett's management theory, where her conception of management involves getting things done through people. There has to be formalized systems of rules and regulations and procedures in place to drive these people to action. And, this is needed if they want to achieve organizational goals and objectives. The third theme is goal setting, where the aspects of equity and efficiency arise. Now, one may argue that the role of public agencies is to create societal equity while trying to solve the elusive wicked problems. Nonetheless, we have seen several institutions, we've seen several situations where principles and methods of scientific management were used to implement ideas that would increase the efficiency of government agencies. This includes agencies such as the Riverside Transit, for example. We could use, going back to the Riverside Transit Agency, we could use their application of technology to improve wait times as well as the schedules for their passengers as a good example of this. Additionally, borrowing the concepts behind system thinking, achieving equity and distribution of public services requires interdependent interactions between public sector and the private sector. Therefore, the two agencies, to some extent, work hand in hand to promote social equity while factoring in efficiency as a performance enhancement tool. Based on those three themes just discussed, I've concluded that private and public agencies are in fact quite similar in all unimportant aspects. This is all that I have for this week's presentation. I look forward to hearing all of yours. Thank you.